Hi guys, welcome back to Marant's Rants. Plenty of good information, a little bit of motivation, a whole lot of truth, no financial advice. So today on the live stream, we actually did an interview with Haas. He is a known Wall Street whistleblower. I'm going to play the clip. Remember, this is his narrative, his words, not mine. But I give him the platform and I push out the story because more people need to hear this story. Manipulation? Yes. At the judicial level, yes. At the stock level, yes. At the market level, yes. We understand they're all connected. And how are they doing it? Well, he's going to paint a different side of the story. And I hope you guys hear it because it deserves some traction. Good luck, guys. And thanks again for listening and watching. Here's the clip. Peace. And you know, I might just play the whole soundtrack right now, guys. I got nothing better to do than to hang out with you. Here we go. Got a phone call coming. Hello.
This is Marant's Rant, right?
That is correct. Yes, sir.
My name is Laser Stephen Haas, and DMT just asked me to call you.
Okay, so let me be full disclosure really quick, Laser. You are live on the channel right now. Okay.
Which channel would that be?
I'm on Marant's Rants on YouTube, but I want to. Okay. Do you have a picture or anything, or you don't want to show your picture or anything?
No, I have a picture. Hold on one second.
Because we can set this all up right now. We can do the phone call, or do you have Discord? You don't have Discord?
I don't have Discord, but
okay.
Are you seeing me here?
No, I don't want that. I wanted to, I'll explain it. I want to get a picture of you so I can put up on my screen. I can't put what's on my phone up on the screen.
Oh, okay, hold on.
I don't know if you have a page.
Are you on Twitter, LinkedIn, anything?
I can go to Google.
Oh, Google, I'm all over the place.
Yeah, what's your name?
Laser Haas.
Laser, how do you spell it?
LASERHAAS.
Got it. Laser Haas. It says that's a cutting machine. What is that? Let's see.
Oh, no,
E-choice journalist.
That happens a lot.
Okay, so I'm trying to find out which one you are. There was a
bald-headed guy with glasses.
I see a Gilbert Haas, and then I see you, Laser Haas. Okay.
Hold on, let's go to your YouTube.
Yeah, I'm going through it. They have your bald-headed guy with glasses. I see you here.
Okay.
Yeah, you were in front of a Toys R Us. You're the.
Yep, I did many a video in front of Toys R Us's.
Okay, 1 second. I'm saving the image. Go there, and then I'm going to go and I'm going to put you up on the actual page that we're on right now because we're having a conversation. So I have a plan.
I found you. AMAC bought and paid for BBY. No tip.
Yeah, no, it's fine. I got one. It's fine. I got one enough, just enough so that people know I'm on the phone. But here's my thing. Let's give you a proper introduction. Now listen, my first time ever meeting you. I don't know much, but I trust my man Dan. That's the real DMT. He's a great
guy. He's a great guy.
Huge supporter for everything. Now, what's your history? Where do you come from? What's your story?
I took over eToys after being 25 years Laser, the liquidator. I handled distress management, bankruptcies, bank called loans, insurance company disasters, thousands of them for billions of dollars. My creds, how I got in there, was I actually was raised to be a thief and had a felony record and was going to go back to organized crime, and a couple of people told me I could find a different way. And a different way was selling the asset of stopping people from stealing. Most people don't realize that a going out of business sale or insurance disasters, we lose a lot of money by people defrauding to get the maximum amount of money.
Okay.
And I took over eToys after I did ToyTime.com and sold it to Patrick Clocker of Overstock. Patrick had bid $5 million. The lawyers convinced Patrick he could reduce his bid from $5 million down to $1 million. And I made Patrick not only pay the $5 million, but for trying the stunts of reducing his bid, I made him pay an extra $175,000. That was a few months before eToys went bankrupt. bankrupt. When eToys went bankrupt, they had bids for millions of dollars that vanished, and they were going to sell eToys, a $1 billion company that went public in 1999, for $5.4 million to Bain Capital KB. I took over and drove the bids up into the hundreds of millions of dollars, including a merger potential with Scholastic. And when that happened, my lawyer, the creditor's lawyer, people inside the Department of Justice and everybody handling the case offered me a bribe. I turned down the bribe and reported it, but my counterpart, Michael Glazier, the CEO of KB, and you can see the story, Greed and Debt, a true story about Mitt Romney and Bain Capital.
Yeah.
That was on the cover of Rolling Stone by Matt Taibbi. I'm the source of the story. I showed how he took the bribe and gave Bain Capital $83 million and then filed bankruptcy and kept the money. Now, you know common sense. You and I can't start a company tomorrow, take $100 million, and then tell all the stockholders and shareholders and creditors to go suck wind.
Right.
The reason they were able to get away with it is my lawyer, Morris Nichols Arston Tunnel, and the creditor's lawyer, Paul Roy Traub. Morris Nichols Arston Tunnel is M&AT. Paul Roy Traub, that was the creditor's attorney for Goldman Sachs. Paul Roy Traub was secretly Mitt Romney Bain Capital's lawyer for Stage Stores under Michael Glazier and Barry Gold. They all came over after Stage Stores filed bankruptcy to eToys with a plan to go to Toys R Us by stealing enough money in the toy industry, because Mitt Romney and Bain Capital came from BCG. So did Jeff Bezos. And I contacted Jeff Bezos and said he was missing an opportunity. At that time, he was in trouble. Everybody was talking he would go bankruptcy because his concentration was books. And I said he had a golden opportunity to merge with eToys and be the only retail seller, because Hasbro, Mattel, Parker Brothers, Fisher Price, they were always facing down pressure pricing from all the retailers. By all the retailers buying from him only, and them not having to store the stuff that he stored the stuff, the price pressure would no longer go down. I had no idea when I created that scenario that what I created was the destruction of the toys industry by monopolizing KB, Zany Brainy, FAO Sports, Parent Company, Gymboree, Babies R Us, Stage Stores, Jumbo Sports, eToys, and Toys R Us. Bain Capital had a monopoly where what they would do is loan money, get inside with the management, get rid of whoever didn't want to play along, bribe whoever would, and then they would bankrupt and destroy, making money on the shorting of stock, which is what they did in eToys. Right. Did I lose you?
No. No, I'm listening.
Okay. Okay. Can you hold on 1 second?
Yes,
Just
sir.
1 second. Doesn't mean I had to. Hold on.
No problem. It's not the best picture I have of him. I've got to get a better picture. I'm working on it. I'm working behind the scenes here, guys. Fast forward through this part, I'm doing
guys,
some stuff.
until he comes back. But he'll be right back. Give him some time. I played times 2. Enjoy.
I assume he's going to come back. Let me see. Yeah, I'm still there. I'm on hold.
I'm going to have to put you on pause for a second. I got to text him my address, and then I'll be right with you.
Hey, Laser, you got plenty of time, brother. I'm just prepping my channel. I'm getting stuff going. You have people on here listening. We're on bated breath here.
Well, what you can do is look at Greed and Debt. It's out there, Rolling Stone cover story, a true story about Mitt Romney and Bain Capital.
Yeah.
I'm the whistleblower in that case. That's why Matt Taibbi listened to me. And there was another writer, R. Muse, who hates me now. You know, every reporter that does my story gets punished.
And I'm going to forewarn you about that. The moment you start being in that corner, you'll see trolls and haters like you've never seen before.
Yeah, I can handle it. I'm not worried about them.
Well, they stole hundreds of billions of dollars, so it's nothing for them to pay $1 million to do a brigade to gang stalk tomorrow. We had tens of thousands of people after SWAT came after me on Reddit, and the mudslinging was, I'm fat, I'm old, I didn't go to Harvard, my commas are too many, I don't act like a CEO, on and on and on, but had nothing to do with the issues at hand. That there was a monopoly of the toy industry, bled out, bankrupt, and destroyed, so that Amazon would wind up with all the sales. And here's the caveat. The reason they're able to do it and get away with it, even though I got confessions, is my lawyer, Colm Felix Conley, was the United States attorney. And his partner in crime was Stephen Piken, the assistant United States attorney in New York, who was also the SEC task force. The issue being that Mattel and eToys were Delaware corporations with their stock trading on NYSE and NASDAQ. And those two both went partnership to the law firms of Goldman Sachs and Bain Capital after they were willfully blind, and both of them returned to the Department of Justice. Stephen Piken returned with Jay Clayton, who was Sullivan and Cromwell partners, that's Goldman Sachs lawyers, in our eToys case that I sued Trump to not allow to be there because Jay Clayton's wife was also a partner in Goldman Sachs merger and acquisition division, and Jay Clayton bragged on his resume at Sullivan and Cromwell that he was a Bain Capital heavily millions of dollars invested lawyer. They returned to the SEC and blocked me for 4 years. Colm Connolly has his assistant, Ellen Slice, the assistant U.S. attorney in Delaware, have the FBI threaten me that they're going to make my felony record an issue from 45 years ago for lying against Colm Connolly that they consider me a threat. And I told them, F you, in an email that I'll gladly show you. And the FBI agent, Scott Duffy, who threatened me, sent me an email, thank you. But then he resigned when Colm Connolly became a judge. And the problem is that Mitt Romney and Paul Traub are fraudsters, racketeering enterprise that was in Neostar that became GameStop. And Colm Connolly is now the chief judge over Delaware, where the courts are controlling the BCG suing GameStop case. Give me 1 minute and I'll be right back to you.
Yeah, no problem. I'll give the highlight on that while you're out. So just so you guys can go over all this information like I am. So this first right here is the article. This is Greed and Debt, the true story of Mitt Romney and Bain Capital. Bain Capital has a lot of bad players out there in the stock world. I've known that they've been involved with numerous companies. If you guys know Mark Vadden, if you guys remember him, when I talk about him, he left Bain Capital in 1998 to form Blue Nile, which in turn turned into Zulily, Chewy, now GameStop, right? That whole crew that came along with it. But he used to work for Bain Capital. That's what like put me on the light with them, on the spotlight. But what we're talking about right now is BCG. There's two BCGs, by the way, but the main BCG that people talk about is the Boston Consulting Group. And those guys go into companies, they give out information, they actually give you recommendations to do with your company, and what they really do is they manipulate you and they gut you from the inside out. And so GameStop had that tie to BCG, and there was an individual on the board, I forget his name right now, Jay something. He was on the board previous, like 2019, 2018. So they made this deal where they're going to pay BCG $30 million a year for consulting. Ryan Cohen, Alan Larry Chang, they come in, they look at the books and say, we're not going to pay this. We're not going to pay this consulting fee. And because they refused to pay it and they cut them off, BCG sued GameStop. And they're suing them right now. Obviously, it's in the Delaware court because everything's done, the corporation's through Delaware court. So overall, somebody's asking me a question, I will get to that. We're going to have to look at who the judge is, like I'm being told right now, but I didn't even know any of this existed until 10 minutes ago, until Dan called me, the Real DMT. But I think this guy was in a Reddit group chat I was in a while ago. Well, there you go. So, seems like a lot of facts. Rand's kind of guy. Yeah, this seems like something I want to go down because you guys know I do the whole rabbit hole, and we might only get like 4,000 people to see it at first, but we'll start from there. We'll start with 6,000 people that watch the channel, and that's the way it is. So you gotta start somewhere. So I appreciate the DMT reaching out. And this is how fast it can happen. You can make a phone call, and then we'll get them on the chat, we'll get them on the stream. The question here from Buckle Up, he says, what up, King? Scooping up more cheap shares today. That's cool. We are too. Thoughts on the overall stock market? Will there be a crash soon? I'm not a big crash guy. I'm more of a correction guy. So if there's gonna be a correction on Wall Street anytime soon, it'd be cool to watch only because I'm on the other side of it. I'm not betting on the short. You're in a distressed credit cycle, period. So the ones that are making money right now are these manipulators of said stocks, manufacturers of outcomes, aka shorts, and this is their cycle, guys. This is where they're gonna make the most money in their lifetime, and they're in it. They were just up against a bull run. Now you're in a bear run, and it is what it is. So I'm excited for it because I'm actually buying at the bottom. Romney was in Rhino. Yeah, we're gonna have to go out. Mitt Romney is deep into the Ukraine, just like Biden. I'm not a big fan of Romney, even though I did vote for him. I had to at the time because I wasn't gonna vote for Obama. But Mitt Romney is a snake. Even now, he doesn't go down the lines I am. But here we go. We got Laser back in the chat, guys, and we're gonna go ahead and break this down. I did pull up the article, Laser, the Greed and Debt, true story. I do plan on reading it right after we talk. But this gives me a good breakdown as far as some background as to what we're going to talk about.
Well, there's other articles I'll get to you. How would you like me to address you?
Marantz. It's fine. That's okay. Marantz is fine.
And please call me Laser.
Yes,
even
sir.
when I had 3,000 employees and nobody called me sir. I ask everybody to respect everybody, and I run my business like military. I train my people that they never break ranks, that if they got a problem with each other, they go to their manager. Those managers got a problem, they can't solve it, they go to their one. But I'm as friendly as can be. I'm an open book. This is not about me. I'm not a ham. I don't want attention. If you look at 22 years, you don't see me other than when people say, what right do I have to beef about it? Why don't I let it go? They kidnapped my daughter. My son was going to be next, right?
That's crazy.
It's crazier than that. There's over 12 people dead, including a brother of a U.S. attorney, shareholders, people in Delaware that tried to get me before Combe Connolly. John Jack Wheeler was the presidential with Reagan, George Herbert Walker Bush, and George W. Bush. He was also the founding guy and manager of the Vietnam Memorial and Mothers Against Drunk Driving.
One second, Laser. I don't want to stop you, but 1 second. How do you spell your last name?
Haas.
Oh, AA. Okay, got it. I'm doing everything in real time right now, putting up articles and doing videos.
Well, one thing that Dan, DMT, and the others have is they ask me questions that lead down to what looks like overwhelming tangent pathways, but it's one giant racketeering enterprise, and they delight in the fact that it's convoluted and complicated to the general person who doesn't believe it's possible for them to get away with hundreds of crimes with people dead, destroying companies. But it's real simple to explain, and this will be succinct explanation.
Yeah, perfect.
Goldman Sachs and Bain Capital partnered up in organized crime that you hear the misnomer white collar crime as if it's not racketeering. But it is. And it's the worst racketeering because if you remember when Romney ran for president and I had him caught and every one of Obama's websites and my buddy Joe Biden wound up vice president. I'll explain that to you. And again, I don't know that I'd vote for him again. I was a diehard Republican when this began. All right, never given him a donation one, but we were neighbors in the beaches of Delaware who were only 900-person communities, and he knew that I would not let the tiger's tail go. But going back to the succinct description, Goldman Sachs and Bain Capital partnered in organized crime with the genius manipulation of being retroactively retired from their organized crimes. Remember, Romney, when he got caught about lying when he was at Bain Capital, his campaign manager, Gillespie, claimed that he was retroactively retired. Okay? The reason they could get away with that is because they have infiltrated our federal system of justice and the courts. And can that be allowed?
Well, I'm listening.
Okay. Can Frank Nitti be arranged to be prosecutor over Capone cases and rule that Capone didn't do nothing and do so in secret and then claim that they are protected by the Constitution by statute of limitations?
Wow. Well, here's what I'm doing. I'm literally going to run everything back you say today. And I'm a different kind of guy. I dig, and I never stop digging. And that's how I was able to dig up the stuff I have for like AMC and Adam Aaron and Apollo and everything else. Like we have other guys out here.
Apollo's part of this. Apollo's part of this. Aaron was following me. Pulte was following me. Cohen was following me. But then their lawyers got involved. And again, I can understand it. And it's fear and common sense. There's people dead in my case, and I can prove that, all directly connected to me. How many people do you know, or any of your listeners know, in your life, outside of being in the military, overseas, do you know that have a dozen people directly connected to them dead?
No, I don't know many.
Okay. How many people do you know that have whistleblown in dozens of cases before whistleblowing gave a reward status?
Yeah. No, none. I mean, it's now highlighted.
I'm a serial whistleblower because I'm there in the beginning, and I was protected. And I can tell you, for some reason, the Bush family hates Romney so much that one of their affiliated children reached out to me and told me I don't have to worry about being assassinated like the others, that they heard a family discussion that Mitt's never going to be in the White House, and I'm their ace in the hole.
Wow.
Now, George Herbert Walker Bush is dead, and rumor is Romney's testing the waters. Trump can't run on his own. He's not valuable enough. Nobody's donating to him. Romney can't run on his own. But if those two run together, it's like a winning draft ticket that the media will love and put all over the place. And the Democrats and the Republicans running against them will have to spend billions of dollars to get one moment of airtime. And I don't see how they can do it if I'm still breathing.
Well, I'm giving you the chance to tell your story today because
I appreciate
if you disappear tomorrow, if you disappear tomorrow, I have the tape. So
okay,
you're going to be good with me.
Again, to back up succinctly, Goldman Sachs and Bain Capital partnered in organized crime for billions of dollars that bled out, bankrupted, and destroyed the entire large retail toy industry. And I've got a tweet. If you go to my main tweet on Twitter,
I have to go
and
there.
Click on that. It's got a hierarchy that I tried to put on ThreadApp that lists all the stories. And there's hundreds of stories about my case. Reuters, New York Times, LA Times, Zany, Politicus USA, Daily Cause, Democratic Underground, MoveOn.org. And I always ask them not to mention me. And here's why, Marantz. If you make it about me, they hone in on my faults and distract from the overall issue. Because that's what trolls, shills, sock puppets, haters, and naysayers do. They try to muddy the waters where nobody pays attention to the fact. The fact is, Mitt Romney and Paul Traub were involved in Neostar. Fact is, Neostar became GameStop. Fact is, they're partners in crime of destroying the toy industry. Colm Connolly was the U.S. attorney that became partners of M&AT, Morris Nichols Arson Tunnel, who was my attorney, eToy's attorney, and also Bain Capital's attorney and Goldman Sachs attorney at the same time when they were swearing under oath to represent me, eToys, against Bain Capital and Goldman Sachs. So when M&AT's Greg Werkheiser nominated with Barry Gold, who's who they replaced me with, they threw me out as CEO and put in Barry Gold. And when Barry Gold took over officially a year almost after I was gone, the judge approved him. It was Paul Traub putting in his partner, his boss from Stage Stores, Michael Glazier's secretary from Stage Store, Mitt Romney's secretary at Stage Stores, where the creditors counsel put in his partner, paid from his law firm. He confessed that he put in a guy that he paid 4 payments of $30,000 to after they ousted me as the new CEO. And then Barry Gold and Paul Traub and M&AT nominated Paul Traub to sue Goldman Sachs in New York Supreme Court. In other words, Goldman Sachs nominated Goldman Sachs to sue New York Supreme Court, and these guys all argued on the stand for the judge to forbid eToy shareholders from having their own independent lawyer that would be paid for by eToy, saying you're saving the money of the estate. Now, when they did that, they elevated their fiduciary duty to protect the shareholders. But after Romney lost and the New York Supreme Court of Appeals said my case could reopen, and in my opinion, because they could no longer get booted up the ladder to higher court positions because he didn't get the job, right?
Right.
When they ruled that the New York Supreme Court of Appeals could reopen my case, these 3 people who had already confessed that they were tied to each other, lying under oath, which meant, ladies and gentlemen, that they were betraying their court-approved clients. Are lawyers ever allowed to betray their client?
Well, they can speak for them on their behalf, but I don't know about portraying. I don't know exactly what you mean by that.
No, lawyers swear an oath to the bar, any state you go to, the American Bar Association, New York, California, Delaware, that their duty of loyalty is to client first and foremost. This is how they're able to represent people they know killed somebody, but to do a defense to explain it, even though they know they're guilty. Their duty of loyalty by law, by their oath of office, by the Constitution of the United States. Colm Connolly's oath was to the Constitution of the United States against enemies, foreign and domestic. Instead, he has his assistant, Ellen Slights, have the FBI call me and say, if I don't take down my websites and blogs, they're going to put me in jail for life. Now, I've already been shot at, poisoned, beat up, and my friends killed and my daughter kidnapped. That's why it was so easy to tell them to go F themselves. And I did it in an email to the Department of Justice, threatening them that they're enemies of state. They're violating their oath of office, which violates, by the way, Aaron Cooper v. Aaron, United States Supreme Court case that says any judicial officer or employee of the United States government who makes war with the Constitution of the United States is a direct contravention of their oath to protect it. And that was the case that was cited in Brown v. Board of Education, when Arkansas said, we're not going by the U.S. Supreme Court. That's how they handle it and send troops in. Nobody's sending troops into ours because the last time the Department of Justice arrested and indicted 100 Wall Street frauders, who some they said were connected to organized crime, like white-collar crime isn't organized crime. It is. And in this case, worse, because they infiltrated our systems of justice and are getting people to openly aid and abet racketeering at the detriment of public companies and private companies. And they're not stopping. They tried to do it at GameStop. If the apes weren't there, it would have been toast, correct?
Correct.
Right? Okay. They ran into a big enough lobby that they couldn't bribe and they couldn't do anything with. So how they solved that is BCG sues GameStop in Delaware with Colm Connolly and his partner, Mary Ellen Noreika, nominated to be judges to spite Biden, because Biden helped me stop Colm Connolly from being a judge in 2008. Biden and his son, Beau Biden, who was the Attorney General of the United States, couldn't get involved because that would be classified as obstruction. Whether it's pro or con, you couldn't get involved in a federal case. But I was promised that if they ever dropped the case, that Beau Biden, the Attorney General of the United States, would take it up. Well, after the New York Supreme Court of Appeals said I could take care and reopen my case, these bad faith racketeering gang benefiting from mayhem, homicide, and destruction and organized crime settled the billion-dollar eToys case, which, by the way, a sidebar, M&AT, before I became CEO, put in a motion to destroy books and records in the beginning of a 15-year case. And you won't find it anywhere else. And if you go now on Pacer, Westlaw, LexisNexis to New York courts, bankruptcy court of Cosmetics Plus or Playco, or you go to the Delaware FAO Schwartz, KB Toys, eToys, on and on and on, or to Texas stage stores, you'll see that the legal records, Aaron Schwartz, God bless him, impressed on me over and over again, and I rolled my eyes on them like some of you are probably rolling your eyes about me right now, that I got to copy the records that are going to make them disappear.
So I have a question.
Go ahead.
I have a question. Do you feel that with President Biden, this is your opinion, with him getting appointed the presidency, did that throw a wrench into any of this for you?
Well, no. Here's what happened. Okay. Biden, I was neighbors with him, and side story, I went bankrupt in kerosene heaters in 1996 when they changed the regulation. I had been working with a guy. I let him keep the $1 million that he owed me. I made him millions in selling kerosene heaters by truckloads. I was buying them from Sanyo at the Port Elizabeth for $10 and $20 when they were selling for $200 and $300. And I was selling them on trucks for $69 and $99 for a place called House of Deals. Now, I left House of Deals to go out on my own, and I got heavily invested in borrowed money and sold all assets and everything, and told my partner, gave him a gift when he's trying to negotiate with me to give me less money. I said, you can keep it. just signed that I'm allowed to compete. And he did that, but they knew the regulation was changing. When the regulation changed, I went bankrupt. I was $6 million in the hole, warehouse, tons of units. I go in and see Comfort Glow and Kerosene heaters that used to sell for $300 and $500, selling for only $20. And I go to the Sanyo guys and say, what's wrong? And they said, there's nothing wrong, but if you need another 100,000 heaters, come get them and pay us after you sell them. A week later, that warehouse burnt down because the regulation changed that nobody could have kerosene heaters in their house anymore. I went broke. At that time, I was friends with a guy that owned the dairy that was the biggest dairy that didn't use chemicals. And he said to me, because we went to auctions together and I used to buy restaurant equipment. He was a sweetheart guy, an honest hard worker. He said to me, I'm going to give you a check and a letter of credit to guarantee it because you need to get your hat out of your ass. Right? Mm-hmm. Now, for a year, I carried that $1 million letter of credit in my pocket with the check, and he told me he didn't care if I bought pet rocks, if I bought a hotel, if I bought a crab boat and it sunk, just try to get my head out of my ass. The man loved me that much, and he loved my family that much. He loved my honest work ethic that much. He knew everything about me. I still talk to his son to this day. He passed away a few years ago. He tried to help me in my case, right? Everybody in Delaware, the DuPonts, the Pritzkers, the Bidens, everybody knew I carried that check, and they'd always invite me to the high-class parties to show the idiot with the letter of credit and try to talk me into this, that, and the other, do something. I was just a big joke because I was scared to turn, like the people are scared to turn that opened up their business just before COVID and went bankrupt because they had no idea that everything was going to change.
Right.
But he knew from another instance that I don't let the Tiger KO go. So what happened when Biden was running in 2007, and I'll tell you a specific thing that proves my point if you promise not to focus on it.
Okay.
Biden flew on Sun Country Airlines. It's a matter of public record. He flew on Sun Country Airlines, and I reported him to the Federal Election Commission, and he had to pay $219,000 for getting a discount rate on airline. Now, in my opinion, he should have paid $2 to $20 million because he got to fly charter, but they only charged him the amount of money him and his personal assistants on Sun Country Airline paid. Okay? Or would have paid without them. The FEC didn't charge them charter flight things. They charged them individual ticket things. At that time, when he was flying on Sun Country Airlines, Sun Country Airlines was owned by Bain Capital, Goldman Sachs, Tom Petters Ponzi. Look at Petters, Petters-fraud.com. And the controller of Tom Petters Ponzi was Paul Roy Traub. And I've got that stated by federal records. Okay. And they lied and said, when the arrest happened in 2008, that Petters Ponzi was only $3.7 billion, and Traub had Madoff's sons run and confess about Dad, saying that it was $60 billion, when it's actually the opposite. Madoff is Petters is $60 billion. Madoff's was only $30 billion. But they had to make the story. Matthew Goldstein was going to report, talking to the Bidens, because Joe Biden helped me stop Combe Connolly from becoming a judge, and that's a matter of record. Even though they got it redacted, I can show you where it is, by refusing to sign the Senate slip. The protocol at the time, when you get nominated by the President of the United States, is the two U.S. senators currently in office have to sign the blue slip and send it in, approving the vote to go forward in the U.S. Senate. To spite Biden and to make Romney happen, remember Romney and Trump had that famous dinner, Frog Legs, in Washington, D.C.?
Sure.
Okay, that was about me. What they needed to do, Trump couldn't go after Romney as much as he wanted to because Trump knew Romney and Goldman Sachs were partners, and Trump's got money from Goldman Sachs. So the deal they made, despite what everybody's seeing on the air and how many people for Trump come and join me, and I block them as soon as they start doing their bullshit, because I'm a Romney hater, therefore I must be a lover of Trump, which is not a true equation, right? They came and went after that dinner and got Jay Clayton, a pardon for Michael Milken that not even the Bush president would give him. And Jay Clayton, after he got in, brung in Stephen Peiken, Combe Connolly's partner in crime, blocking the cases. And Combe Connolly got renominated to be a judge. That's why the FBI threatened me. They knew that was happening, that if I didn't take down my websites, they were worried that somebody would pick up my websites. And I came close to doing it by doing another stunt.
Well, here's the thing. I want to dial it in because there's two things I want to dial down with you.
Okay.
Because I'm listening. I know you have a wealth of knowledge. I see the story was written in 2012. August 29th just happens to be my son's birthday. That's awesome. But the story that was written 10 years ago, that means you've had this 10 years of building up knowledge and information.
22 years. 22 years.
Well, I know you're 20, but I'm saying since the story came out, right? So I think there's so many connecting dots, but there's two things I want to touch base on. One is this: why do you feel? And I don't even know if the case, if it's tied up in Delaware, which it is, for GameStop and BCG. Why do you feel that it's tied up, and what is it holding back, if you don't mind? Your opinion, of course.
Simple common sense. Do you let the wolves in the hen house?
Ideally, no.
Okay. The wolves are Wall Street, Goldman Sachs, Bain Capital, Mitt Romney, Paul Traub, all tied to Neostar. And we don't know how. They're still tied, but we know the pattern. The pattern is to get involved inside the upper management, bribe who you can, kick out who you can, and then bankrupt the company. And we all agree that had not the GameStop apes been there, Cohen would have been done, correct?
I guess. I mean, it was an insurmountable amount of bad guys in there. I've looked at the board of directors for GameStop. Obviously, I've done my homework on AMC a lot more than GameStop's, because when I went to GameStop, they had 11 executives before. Now they only have 5, and I'm giving them a fresh look, as in to say, well, those guys aren't here anymore, so why am I worried about it? But I think they're still battling it out, because if there's like a motion to where you can't talk about GameStop, like for the board of directors, this way they don't say so much. I just don't know what's happening in the court system, but you said there's 2 judges, correct?
No, there's 4 judges in Delaware, 4 regular, and then there's visiting judges. The 4 judges, when GameStop case was filed, was Combe Connolly, chief judge, still is, Mary Ellen Noriega, which was his partner at M&AT, right? She was at M&AT for 22 years. And then Andrews and Stark, who were his assistant U.S. attorneys. Now, let's take GameStop out of the question. Is it allowable for 4 judges to be from the same group running the state of Delaware federal courts?
It's kind of one-sided.
50,000 legal professionals in Delaware alone, lawyers, judges, professors, on and on and on. And the only 4 people in there are all part of the same gang. And by the way, I say gang accurately because they all protected the organized crime of Bain Capital and Goldman Sachs from being prosecuted.
Right.
That's disqualifiable, and they never mentioned that on their Senate Judiciary questionnaire. So I don't have to speculate about the 1,000 scenarios. You either agree to allow the fox to season you as chickens in the hen house for the other people that are related to the fox that want to gut you, or you don't.
Yeah, no, I have the same conclusion. I don't know. Do you have Reddit? Do you ever go on Reddit?
Yes.
Okay.
I'm on Reddit. I had tens of thousands of people on Reddit. Now listen to this. The same thing I'm telling you will happen to you. They ask legitimate questions. If you Google Combe Connolly on Reddit, you'll see a wonderful thing there. If you Google Gain Capital, you'll see a wonderful thing about bankruptcy bust outs. There were hundreds of them up there. After I got SWAT after me, after I finally got my 2 SEC whistleblower case numbers, all of a sudden, Goldman Sachs is hired by Reddit. Their people become mods, and everybody that had my stuff up there got shot down or closed down or kicked out.
Wow. Well, there's a good guy, a buddy of mine who's on my channel all the time. His name's Badass Trader. He's a moderator for Superstock. If you know what Superstock is, it's the GameStop.
Well, talk to him before you get involved there, because if you see him say to you, no, we're not allowing it, there's your answer.
No, he's my guy. This guy's amazing. So he has a Reddit piece called Badass, the Billionaires Boys Club. And he talks about Apollo, Bain. He talks about all this. Like he pieces the
But
pieces
they're all
together.
involved. Apollo was
Yeah.
where Jay Clayton went to turn around and do he had a competitor, Apollo, prosecuted, which everybody sees the case going on, and then he becomes partners with him.
Right.
That's absurd. It's right in our face. The guy should be in jail.
Yeah, so there's a thing called the Billionaires Boys Club. I just, if you ever want something to read
I
about.
drove by it in Vegas many a time.
No. It's a DD piece on Reddit. That's what I'm saying. That you can read about. It's in parts, maybe like 19
I'll
parts.
pick it up as soon as we can.
Yeah.
Well, actually, I can do it right now.
It's something to read. It's going to take some time to get through, but it kind of connects the pieces. What I want you to do, if you can, I'd want you to read it for me, Laser, because you have the pieces. Okay, you have pieces on your side. We have pieces that we do here. I have a whole think tank, a whole group here, and then we have bankruptcy lawyers. We've got some ex CEOs. We got those guys part of my.
I've got judges and lawyers too that don't like what is going on. But here's the thing, Morantz.
Yes, sir.
Those guys get ostracized, and I'll give you an example. Judge Richard B. Sanders was a Supreme Court judge in the state of Washington. He's at a Federalist dinner when Bush is going out, paying $2,500 a plate. McCasey, who came in after Jaime Gonzalez stepped down, right? McCasey comes in and he says Bush did no wrong, the Department of Justice did no wrong, and this judge was so pure, he said, tyrant. The sergeant in arms came to him, everybody booed him, and McCasey went on and turned around and talked about it, encouraged. And the judge couldn't take it no more, and he stood up with both hands, tyrant. They took him out of the room, and McCasey wound up in the hospital. He collapsed at the podium. The judge became famous, but what they did next was made sure that he wasn't a judge anymore. They made him lose his election by the Seattle Times that had supported him for 30 years, took a question to a judge panel and said, why do we have 2% black population and 20% blacks in prison? The guy in the back of the room turned around and said, poverty pimps. They put that quote with Judge Richard B. Sanders' face on the Seattle Times front page, and he lost the election by 20,000 votes.
Wow.
That's what they do.
Well, I'm going to tell you right now, the reason why I tell you these things is because I think you have the other side of the coin. I think you can piece it all together, what we're trying to piece together.
No, I can't piece it together without people like you that care. I've been a voice in the wilderness for 22 years.
Yeah, I hear you.
I love the Ape Nation. I love you guys being due diligent. I love you guys thinking it through. And wait a second. While I'm doing it, I've got 3 different phones here.
No, it's fine.
What is his name again?
Is a badass trader. And but you can just type in Billionaires Boys Club. It'll come right up.
Badass trader.
Yep. Billionaires Boys Club.
649,000 commas.
Yep.
I only have 200,000.
Yeah, no, this guy's the real deal. He's the real deal.
Okay. His recent post is Dorito update.
Yeah, we do that too. We talk about the stock.
A reminder of any ape dismissing something. I don't know.
Well, I don't know. He's in the chat right now. He follows. He's around. He's listening to you right now.
Okay. Well, again, here it is. When people like me, are you familiar with the Stephen Donziger case?
No, sir.
Oh, guy. He won $9 billion against Chevron for putting 50 billion gallons of toxic waste in the Amazon forest and claiming they cleaned it up with $40 million.
Wow.
He sued him and won, and Chevron pulled all its assets out of South America, and he went to the New York court, and they told Stephen Donziger, he's been on the case for 30 years, that if you bring that in, we'll put you in jail. They put him in jail and took his bar card away. The difference between me and him is the last place they want to see me is in a court of public record. The last place they want to see me, Daily Cause, Democratic Underground, everybody throws me out the moment I get attention. And again, I'm forewarning you. People are dead. Brother U.S. Attorney dead. Dozens dead. Right? They'll come at you like you wouldn't believe because it's a billion, mega hundreds of billions of dollars organized crime. Yeah. Right? But with just people like you of prominence verifying that what I'm saying is true, then the mudslingers don't work anymore.
Yeah, no, I'm a big proponent of truth.
Make it about the facts. Make it about the facts. It's not about me. It's what they're doing to us. I'm willing to put my life on the line to stop organized crime from hurting people because we have bought and paid for judges and U.S. attorneys and FBI agents betraying their oath. They're tax-paid public servants, and every one of them involved in this case and everybody involved in the mayhem and homicide belongs in jail, losing their bar card, losing their prestige, to send a clear message, and you people can make that happen. I can't do it on my own. That's proven.
No problem. I mean, I defend this country too. I'm a veteran, all the good stuff. But
well, again, we have fellow people that died in oil wars that are unjust. This is a noble cause. This is enemies domestic that nobody touches. After that 100 people arrest in mid-2000, they haven't arrested 100 people in 22 years.
Yeah, they haven't done anything. I totally agree. What I'm going to do is I'm going to do some more homework on all of this. This is all brought to light to me today. In the moment, but I don't mind putting it out here front and center, because even if it doesn't pan out, let me tell you something, Laser. I'm the most straight shooter guy you're ever going to meet.
Pan out, buddy. What'll pan out?
I know it will.
I don't mind you quitting though.
No, I don't quit. I don't quit.
No, but if you get worried, do you have a wife and kids?
I'm gonna tell you, I have them, and they're taken care of. We're good. I'm not worried about me.
Because they kidnapped my daughter and said my son would be next.
Yeah, well, let them come see me. I'm a different type of guy.
I'm a different one too. I have the right to, even though I'm a felon, can't carry a gun, threaten somebody's life in front of me and watch what happens.
You're doing well. You're doing God's work. Hey, one more question though. You saying that it can be connected from BCG to GameStop, and this is how they're holding their feet to the fire. I've got some I want to ask you. When you say, and if you don't want to go into detail, it's fine. But I just want a good idea.
Open book. The truth is inflexible and immortal. And the thing, I've closed down 6 law firms and put dozens in jail for 500 years, only armed with the truth.
Well, here we go. When you say that they bribed you, can you describe that moment?
They tried to bribe me. Read Greed and Debt. Yeah. And Greed and Debt, I'm the source of it. I can give you Matt Taibbi's email. I don't want to destroy him because
I have his name right here. Yeah.
Right. Right. Greed and Debt. They gave Michael Glazier $18 million and gave Bain Capital $83 million before filing bankruptcy of KB. Now, they had to confess it because I had the record.
Okay.
I knew what happened. Right. So when they confessed it in open record, but the judge ordered my proof about it stricken from the record, and that's a matter of fact that I can still prove. I've got the motion and the judge's order and everything about it. Now, here's the other side of that equation that I did not know at the time, because that was 2005. The Biden, for between 2001 and 2007, I did not know that the U.S. attorney in Delaware was my lawyer refusing to prosecute himself and his partners and their clients. You understand how big that is?
Yes.
Right? Okay. Colm Connolly, I did not know they had the ace in the hole. So when the Department of Justice went after me and had my stuff stricken and threatened me, I didn't know what to do. Now, again, what happened is that M&AT, who's my lawyer, you can see in the record a KB case is Bain Capital's lawyer, while they're eToys and my lawyer.
That's crazy.
So they're representing me against Bain Capital and Goldman Sachs, while they're simultaneously representing Goldman Sachs and Bain Capital.
Working for them. Yeah, I get you.
Okay, I got M&AT to confess Goldman Sachs. The other part of that equation is the person who asked to prosecute Michael Glazier and Bain Capital was Paul Roy Traub as creditor's attorney. Paul Roy Traub did that without informing the court's parties of interest and everybody in the case that he was actually Michael Glazier's lawyer in Stage Stores under Barry Gold, under Mitt Romney, who became the lawyer of Mattel. It's not allowed. But when I asked the judge to address it, she ordered the clerk not to allow me put the records in the evidence.
Wow.
And Colm Connolly was a U.S. attorney having me threatened, having the FBI threaten me. When I filed a complaint after the Bidens gave me, and you can see it at the Office of Legal Policy that I didn't even know was a thing, the DOJ, Office of Legal Policy, Colm Connolly's resume is there. He clerked for Judge Stapleton, who is a partner of M&AT. He was the assistant U.S. attorney until 1999. Then he was a partner of M&AT. Then he went back and became the U.S. attorney attorney in 2001 through 2009 after I turned down and reported the bribe. So they buried everything that I was doing and had everybody come after me. But I was one of these guys, a DAG, right? Okay. What happened was I didn't know it, though. So when Colm Connolly and the FBI threatened me, I said, you guys are crony corrupts. I'm not taking a bribe. I'm not being a part of you. I'm not shutting up. And they said, you want other people to be harmed? I said, you do it. I'm there in the middle of it. You will pay your ultimate penalty trying. That's the issue. That's the only thing I can do, Guy. I can't stop what they do, but I can't let me, after they kidnapped my daughter and other people that I've worked with had died for the cause, directly involved in the case. What kind of soldier would I be if I gave up but took money and went away?
So who are you? Who's on your side right now? Who's helping you?
You guys.
No, I mean, like, you don't have a team. You don't have
My
like
family, friends, everybody abandoned me. And again, when I talk to the Wall Street whistleblower lawyers, how that system really works, and I got a couple of reporters to do something about it. Here's another site you got to study: LOPUCKI.com.
Okay.
UCLA law professor Lynn Lopucki has been before Congress with Senator Warren and Cornyn. He wrote a book called Courting Failure: How Corruption in Bankruptcy Cases is Destroying Our Courts by Picking Venues. And Senator Cornyn came out and said picking a venue is picking a verdict. And Senator Cornyn and Elizabeth Warren, you got to remember, she's in Bain backyard. She could wind up in a boat in the ocean tomorrow, right? Warren and Cornyn joined together and had multiple times put forth venue shopping bills, basically doing a shot across the bow, telling them to stop the bullshit in Delaware. Biden was a senator, and his son was the attorney general. They couldn't get involved in my case, but they helped me stop Colm Connolly. When they gave me the resume, I gave it to the Los Angeles Public Corruption Task Force, and you can look up Shake Up Royals federal prosecutors. And 4 weeks after that, they shut down the Public Corruption Task Force, saying there were no public corruption cases in Los Angeles to prosecute, and they threatened career federal prosecutors to destroy them if they said the reason why. That's what you're facing. You guys, because you're such a big group, can do like international consortium of investigative journalists who have been fired trying to do my case. You guys can turn around and have multiple people put out the same facts. Don't mention about me. Just stick with the facts that they can't deny that needs to be addressed as a matter of law. Colm Connolly needs to be gone off the case. They need to have an investigation, antitrust, FBI. You guys can be the heroes of my story that I'll have to love and honor the rest of my days. I already do, by the way, because you're the tipping point. What we do, we victims, when we go to the authorities and they say no, and we go to the courts and they say no, and we go to the press and they say no, what our job is to do is to find a way to balance the equation of power that's making the story not be heard, get to a higher platform to affect a different result. And how much it happens, cause and effect. When that 2013 article came out that my case was reopened by New York Times rigging the IPO game, it explains exactly what happened. Our stock went to above $80. We got less than 20. It disappeared to Goldman Sachs friends. And the people that stopped that from being investigated were Goldman Sachs people planted inside the Department of Justice and the federal courts. Goldman Sachs, David Solomon is going to get canned on Tuesday if we make this paid attention to.
Right. Well, I mean, he might just get canned because the market's crashing every damn day, but...
No. There's Goldman Sachs people that want me to keep spearheading it, and they're going to call, the investors are going to call for his head on a platter because he could have settled my case when he first came on. Instead, what he did was he had Gregory Palm quit the general counsel of Goldman Sachs so he could have plausible deniability, and then he became the CEO and the chairman. And he continued the obstruction of justice, and his people are the ones that threaten me. I've got Goldman Sachs hasn't looked at my postings in 20 years 500 times. I've looked at it over 10,000 in the last 4 weeks. They want to use my case to make him gone and clean up the act. They want to take my case and confess and settle it. Otherwise, if the SEC does what's right in my case, Goldman Sachs loses its ability to do mergers, acquisitions, and IPOs, and they're out of business. They're Bear Stearns and Lehman Brothers. When the New York Times rigging the IPO game article came out, cause and effect, 3 weeks later, Bain Capital had to cancel the Toys R Us IPO. It's a matter of record. You guys can turn around and go on Jon Stewart today and say e-toys, 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 Mattel stock. Why aren't they looking at that? How can the judges over those cases in those districts be partners in the crime and get away with it being in our federal service with our tax-paid dollars? That's simple questions. Dan's got the wording for it, right? It's a conflict of interest crime. They're violating the law of judicial canons of conduct. You guys can make him leave tomorrow. The apes already made him. I don't know if Dan told you, his Twitter actually said that he calls me a liar. I can't remember. Dan remembers the exact words. But you can't call me a liar unless you know what my allegations are. And right. Combe Collins' assistant, Ellen Slites, is the one that had the FBI threaten to put me in jail. Coincidentally, 3 days after Robert Albert, the E-Toy shareholder, died. They figure I'm the only witness left. Well, they're wrong, and they asked me for the other witnesses. I'm not going to give people that threaten me the name of witnesses. Are they out of their friggin' mind? I'll give them to you because I can trust you and Dan not to reveal them.
Right. No, I understand. What I'm going to do, because it sounds like there's obviously in the court system, there's a conflict of interest, period, in your cases and others.
And the Department of Justice.
Yeah, I'll have to look into all of that.
If it was raided by organized crime. That's what's going on with free reign in our face, bragging about that they're switching back and forth, revolving door, getting paid for their willful blindness. They should be jailed for the rest of their life.
Yeah, I'm going to have to, listen, you give me a hole, I'm going to dig into it. It's going to take me a minute, but you're catching me up really fast. And what I'm going to also do is I'm going to clip this video for the interview portion, and I'll put it out as a separate piece so people can see it with clean eyes.
And I'll reference it, and you'll wind up with tens of thousands of other views outside of your network. Yeah. There's people who do care, want a fair system that are inside the system, but they get destroyed or killed if they point it out. M&AT controls the courts of Delaware, period, end of story. M&AT should be my seventh law firm gone, and I'm telling you, they're already there. Greg Werkheiser and his wife was Rachel Werkheiser, was the clerk for the chief bankruptcy judge, Sanchi, and Greg Werkheiser left M&AT after being there 22 years, and Rachel Werkheiser was kicked out of being clerk, and Sanchi retired. When I pointed out what was going on, he was being snowed, and he said, screw this shit, I'm leaving. You guys can make a difference. I appreciate you. I adore you. I look forward to talking to you more.
Well, you have my number.
My number. Text me before you do. I've got meetings all the time.
Yeah, I hear you. So you have my number too. If you want to get on urgently, like if I'm ever live, I'm always on YouTube. I'm live every day. And
hey guys, you're saving my life. You're saving my life, and you're saving the lives of others we don't even know. The witnesses that I won't bring forward, I have them. I have everybody to prove I was CEO. I have everybody to prove that I was snowed. I have everybody to prove exactly what went on. But I only give it to a person I can trust. We need a contemporaneous Elliot Ness. You guys can make that happen.
I'm going to do my best. I'm going to put it out there. Like I said, I'll throw you a link when I have it. And then you can do whatever you want with it at that point. But this will be clipped, and we'll get it up online within the next hour.
You have no idea that you made a decision to change the world today. You're going to be world famous for being on this side of the equation before the story broke. Even though I've had hundreds of stories and documentaries, including a few on American greed, that's nowhere near 1/100th of what's going on right now because of the purity of the ape nation.
I just want to tell you, well, one, I don't call our group here, we don't call ourselves apes. That's the first thing. And it's we don't take offense to it either. But it's just, we are retail investors.
I think it's going to be gone. I think that's what Aaron is doing when he claims that he has the ape stock. I'm worried.
Yeah, he's terrible. But that's another whole deal. What I'm going to do is I'm going to let you know we're retail, we're humans, we're people, we're common folk. But
and you need a fair market. It's hard enough to make profit as it is without this bullshit, the source, this mishigash.
Well, this is my fight. Rather than standing on the sidewalk, this is my fight right here. So I'll put it out there. We'll see what floats, and we'll see what people can see, and we'll see what we can dig up. But I really appreciate your time.
You have no idea how much people love to be on the side of a winning story, and that's where you are. I appreciate your time there, buddy.
Likewise, Laser. You take care, and appreciate you, and I'll get you back onto the show anytime, okay?
All right. Thank you, man.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, Dan. Thank you, people, for listening. You're making a difference. You're part of the war that's going to win.
All right. I appreciate that. Thank you so much, sir. You have a good night.
Bye-bye.
Yes, sir. Bye-bye. So that was 1 hour right there with Laser. Worth my time. Thank you, Dan. That's the real DMT. If you guys don't know Dan, Dan's been a part of the saga for a long time. Plenty of music videos and all that. But as you guys get through the lyrics and you guys understand what he puts out, the DD that we're going over right now, that we'll have to break down over the next couple of weeks. I have Badass Trader here, who's one of the main moderators for Super Stonk. I have numerous people in this chat that are listening. I can't be the only one that's digging. You guys got to dig too. So I appreciate everything you guys do for us. And I don't know his Reddit handle. We'll get all that information. Badass Trader, get with Dan. Dan knows his information. Dan, can you text me his Reddit handle, his Twitter? I need it all. I think it's all real in a sense. You know, I'm not going to tell you what's real and what's not. The lack of breaks in his breath. I love that one. They're like, the lack of breaks in what he's saying. Because he's not thinking. He's spitting, man. And so I could connect some of the pieces because we've done some DD here, but not in the depth of what he's talking about. So I'm going to go back and I'm going to do my best. Hopefully Badass Trader can connect some of the pieces with his storyline and what he studies. Where do we start? Where do we go? Well, we start right here. Marantz Rants. Plenty of good information, a little bit of motivation, whole lot of truth, no financial advice. I hope you guys enjoy the storyline. Hope you guys enjoy the videos. Thank you.